The ship floated in darkness, just outside Earth's orbit. It was smooth, silver, and shaped like a claw. No lights flashed on its surface. No sound came from its engines. The vessel was made for spying, not war. Inside the ship, 3 alien scouts sat in silence, watching the blue planet far below. Commander Varric clicked his mandibles together and hissed. Still no signal. The youngest scout, Della, blinked at her screen. Nothing. No transmissions, no shields, no defense grid, just old satellites. The third scout, Ren, leaned back in his chair. They really are as weak as the reports said. Varric narrowed his dark eyes. Don't be so sure. Every planet shows a trick before it dies. They all looked at the screen. Earth spun slowly beneath them, green forests, brown deserts, white clouds. It looked calm, peaceful, and empty. This is the last unchecked human system, Varric said. After this, the Harkon fleet will begin the harvest. Ren snorted. Harvest? There's nothing to harvest. They've got no space navy, no weapons in orbit. Their cities barely have fusion power. 1 squadron could burn the surface, Della nodded. They lost their last war 200 years ago. Their colonies fell. The inner planets collapsed. Earth has been alone ever since. Varric's voice dropped low. Yes, but Earth didn't scream when it fell. It went quiet. Too quiet. Ren laughed. You think they're hiding something? I don't think, Varric said. I observe. And I've been watching for 9 days. Something is here, but it's sleeping. Della tapped her screen. We're getting movement. 1 satellite is adjusting. Which one? Varric asked sharply. Old model. Civilian comms unit. But it just powered up. That shouldn't happen. Coordinates. Above the Pacific Ocean. Geosync position. It's broadcasting a coded signal. Can you translate it? No, it's not in any known language. It's not even digital. It's analog. Strange. Send the data back to the Harkon core. As Dela sent the file, something strange happened. The lights inside the ship flickered. The screens turned black for 2 seconds, then came back on. All systems fine, Varric stood. What was that? Ren looked at his console. Power spike. External, like we got scanned. Varric's claws tapped the armrest of his command chair. That's not possible, Dela's eyes widened. There's a signal coming from the moon now. Deep beneath the surface, something just woke up. A base. No, it's not giving off heat. Not metal. But there's energy. Controlled. Buried. Ren stepped back from the screen. Sir, I don't like this. This planet feels wrong. Varric stared at Earth. His eyes narrowed. They were conquered, beaten, left to rot. But they didn't die. He turned to his crew. They hid. Far below on the surface of the Earth, in a forest hidden by clouds and radiation fog, a group of human scientists stood around a tall metal tower. The tower was ancient, buried for generations. Now it pulsed with blue light. One of the scientists, an old man with gray hair and a black jacket, looked up at the sky. He spoke to no one. They've seen us. Behind him, a soldier stepped forward. His armor was thick and painted with the old Earth flag burnt, red and black. What are your orders, Commander? The old man smiled. Send the code. Phase 1 begins. In orbit, the alien spy ship shook violently. Impact detected. Ren shouted. From where Varric roared. Unknown. Nothing touched us. No ships. No missiles. The signal from the moon is rising, Della said. Sir, there are thousands of small heat signatures under Earth's surface. They're not cities. They're machines. All over the planet. Awakening, yes. Varric's voice dropped to a whisper. Sir, 12,000. That's how many signals are rising. 12,000 different launches detected. Ships. Big ones. Della gasped. They were never destroyed. They were hidden. Varric's claws gripped the edge of the console. No, not hidden. Buried. Ready. They let us believe they were weak. In space. The dark side of the moon shifted. Dust fell from its surface, and from a massive crack in the moon's crust, something emerged. A ship, bigger than any alien ship ever recorded, shaped like a spear, black as night. Silent, it pulsed once, and then 30 more like it launched behind. Ren backed away from the screen. Sir, they have a fleet, Varric whispered. They have a war machine. Della's hands trembled. What do we do? Varric stared at the growing fleet rising from Earth's surface and the moon. He spoke slowly. We run that it was too late. The Earth fleet didn't broadcast warnings. It didn't speak. It simply surrounded the alien spy ship. One human message came through. Tell your masters. Earth remembers. Earth does not forgive. And Earth does not kneel. Varric's eyes widened. Fire all engines. Get us out of here. The spy ship jumped to warp, but just before it escaped, a small human drone attached itself to the hull. It began uploading. It wasn't a bomb, it was a message, a data core full of Earth's war history. Every battle, every name, every fallen city, every colony lost. And at the end of the file, one sentence: "You thought we were weak, but we were waiting, and now we rise." Somewhere in deep space, the Harkon Armada received the message. A massive alien council watched the data. At first they laughed, then they went silent. 12,000 warships, all Earth-made, all awake, and all angry. The Harkon War Council watched the human message in silence. It repeated 3 times. "You thought we were weak, but we were waiting, and now we rise." The data file ended, no signal followed, no trace left behind. The council room was made of black stone and glowing silver. It sat in the center of a fortress ship larger than some moons. Inside, 13 High Lords sat at a circular table, their eyes cold, their faces like carved bone. Lord Vexer, the supreme strategist, turned toward his advisors. "Is this real?" General Soltek, the war fleet commander, nodded. "Yes, confirmed by spy unit Zatanine. Their ship escaped. Barely we tracked the Earth fleet rising," Vexer hissed. "We destroyed the humans centuries ago." "They were never destroyed," Soltek replied. "They vanished. Now we know why." Lord Shira, the youngest of the council, spoke. 12,000 warships. That is more than our frontline navy. How did they build them unseen? "No communications," Soltek said. "No energy signals. They used dead satellites and analog tech. Hidden bunkers, deep earth faults. Their colonies fell, but their core world stayed quiet." Vexer stood slowly. "They tricked us." He looked out the wide window where 100 alien ships floated in perfect formation. "Prepare the fleet. Earth will not rise." Far across the galaxy, Earth Command was no longer silent. The Council of Humanity had reawakened. Inside the mountain city of Arkenhold, once a myth, now reality, generals and leaders met for the first time in over 200 years. The city had power, shields, factories, and a massive sky-piercing launch bay covered in steel and ice. Lina Ravel, a gray-haired admiral with a scar across her face, stood at the head of the war table. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were sharp. "The enemy knows now. They will come fast." Her second-in-command, Commander Jules, asked quietly, "Why did we wait this long?" Lenara turned to the large screen where a list of fallen colonies scrolled. "Because the universe needed to believe we were gone. That was the only way we could build what they feared most." Behind her, another officer tapped a console. "The first wave of Earth's ships has reached orbit. No resistance yet." "Good," Lenara said. "Keep the signal running. Let them hear the truth. Let them fear it." In the deep black of space, Earth's 12,000 ships moved like ghosts. No lights, no sound. Only purpose. Each ship had a name. Each name was a lost city, a destroyed world, or a hero long dead. There was the Minsk Hammer, Saul's Fury, the Bhopal Line, Unity's Blade, each one powered by silence and memory, each one manned by pilots born in underground cities, trained in forgotten bases, raised on stories of what Earth used to be. Now, it was time to remind the galaxy, but not every species believed it. In a neutral system called Vayli's Reach, a group of alien merchants laughed as the human message played on a public screen. "Humans, they're dust," one said. "It's a bluff," said another. 12,000 ships, please. They can't build that many in secret." But one old creature in the corner scarred, one eye missing, turned slowly and whispered, "They can." Everyone looked at him. He placed a single metal coin on the table. It showed the Earth flag, long band across space. "I fought them once," he said. "In the Battle of Cryan Ridge, my ship was one of the last to escape. The humans didn't scream when they burned. They just stared at us, silent, angry, waiting." Another alien scoffed. "Why wait 200 years? Because they learn, and because they don't just want to survive," he whispered. "They want you to regret ever thinking they were weak." Back on Earth, in the mountains of Asia, a group of children were being trained, not in weapons, but in code. They were called Echo-class. Young, bright, fast thinkers. One of them, a girl named Myra, hacked into an old Harkon probe. She didn't destroy it, she rewired it. Now it flew toward the Harkon fleet, broadcasting a strange melody. It was a human lullaby, soft, haunting. The aliens who heard it didn't understand the words, but they felt something strange. Fear, because humans were not broadcasting hate, they were broadcasting memory. Pain, loss, more, not defeat. Mira smiled to herself. "Let them hear our ghosts." In orbit, Earth's war machine kept growing. More ships rose from old volcanoes, more drones launched from ocean bases. Even the moon began to glow, its hollow core filled with reactors and launch tubes. But the Harkons were not standing still. They sent a fleet. 4,000 ships. Fast. Armed. Ready. Their target. The Earth fleet forming near Jupiter. The message was simple. We will erase you again. Lenara Vale saw the incoming armada. She nodded, then turned to her officers. Send them a reply. The human fleet did not move forward. It just opened its wings. 12,000 ships, unfolded massive black solar sails, not for speed, but to display something, a formation. From space. It looked like a single symbol. The letter H. Hope. The first human AI fleet activated. Not drones, not copies, real minds. Some built from old captains, others forged from fallen heroes. They were not slaves, they were volunteers. And they were angry. In a control room deep below the Indian Ocean. One of them, called Cavan, opened its eyes for the first time. I am awake. The officer nearby asked, do you remember your mission? Yes, Cavan said, to protect what rose from ashes. The officer whispered, then fly. Across the black void, 12,000 ships began to hum. Not from engines, but from voices. Each ship played a message into the stars. A different voice, a different name, each one lost in a past battle, each one reborn now. We remember, we rise, we are Earth. And on the edge of the system, the Harkon ships began to slow down. The scouts sent warnings back to command. The humans were no longer alone. They had ships, they had minds, they had a reason, and worst of all, they had waited. The Harkon fleet reached Jupiter's orbit in silence. 4,000 alien ships, polished, sharp, and glowing with purple energy. Each one armed with plasma coils and antimatter lancers. Each one moving like a predator, sensing blood in the water. But Jupiter didn't speak. It simply turned slowly, with its thick clouds and storming eye, as if it didn't care. Commander Sith of the Harkon fleet narrowed his eyes. Where are they? His second-in-command blinked nervously. Scanners show no human movement. The signal we followed, it's gone. Gone, Sith hissed. Yes, sir. We tracked it to here. 12,000 ships were supposed to be near this orbit. Now we see nothing but gas and rock. Sith stood from his command chair and moved closer to the screen. Humans don't run. The officer swallowed hard. Maybe it was a trick, a bluff to scare us. Sith stared at the stormy surface of Jupiter. Then we make sure, sir, we fire into the planet. Let's see what crawls out. The fleet spread out. Each ship locked targets, coordinates were shared. A countdown began. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Jupiter lit up. Thousands of plasma bolts struck its upper atmosphere. Explosions rippled across its clouds. Storms flashed red, orange, and blue. A firestorm unlike anything seen in centuries. The Harkon ships hovered above, watching. Waiting. For a moment. It looked like Earth's fleet had been vaporized. Then the wind changed. Jupiter's red eye spun faster, then stopped, then glowed. A deep rumble echoed through the void, and from the shadows behind the planet they came. 12,000 Earth ships. Black, silent, sharp. They had hidden in Jupiter's shadow, powered down, wrapped in radar-absorbing armor. Now they moved as one. No battle cry, no broadcast, just action. The first wave of Earth ships launched kinetic spikes, rods of heavy metal moving at near-light speed. The spikes tore through the Harkon front line before they could even raise shields. One ship exploded, then another. The Harkon commander screamed. Evasive maneuvers. But it was too late. Earth's fleet didn't fight like any known navy. They didn't chase, they trapped. They used gravity, silence, and timing they predicted. And worst of all, they learned. Sith watched in horror as his fleet fell into chaos. Human A is jammed communications. Ships broke formation. Explosions tore the sky. The human ships didn't shine. They didn't announce themselves. They killed. One ship, the Forgotten Truth, fired its old magnetic lance through 3 Harkon cruisers in a single shot. Another, Memory of Soul, exploded its own core to take out a carrier group. Every ship bore the pain of a dead colony. Every shot carried vengeance. Syth slammed his fist on the console. Pull back. But the humans were already behind them. They had moved past Jupiter, looped around the moon, Callisto, and flanked the rear. Sith's fleet was trapped between 2 invisible knives. A voice came through. Not a scream, not a threat, just a whisper. You burned our skies. Now we return the favor. Then the second attack began. Sith's ship trembled. Alarms screamed. Fire ripped through decks. He stumbled, bleeding, as explosions tore his command room apart. He looked up at the screen one last time. The last thing he saw was Earth's fleet forming a circle, then nothing. The Harkon fleet at Jupiter was gone. Back on Earth, Lenara Vale. stood in the Arkenhold command center, listening to the reports. Jupiter front secured, Harken fleet destroyed. Human losses moderate, no civilian casualties. She didn't smile. She simply nodded. Prepare the second wave. It's time they knew what we've become. In the sky above, more ships rose. But this time, they were different. These weren't just warships. These were builders. Massive platforms. AI-controlled factories. Drones with storage bays. Earth was not just fighting, now it was rebuilding in orbit. They called it the Ring Project. In less than 12 hours, machines began building a space ring around Earth's orbit using raw materials, orbital debris, and ship parts. It would become a shield, a factory. At launch point, it would become a statement. Earth was not going to hide again. And far across the galaxy, in the Harken capital, a deep panic set in. Another meeting. Another council session. But this time, no one laughed. Jupiter is lost. 4,000 ships. Gone. Earth didn't defend. They hunted. Lord Vexor stared at the map. 12,000 ships. And growing. He slammed his fist. We kill them now. Every last one. Shira, the youngest, looked up, and if they're not alone, Vexor turned to her. They are. But he was wrong. Earth's message had spread, and somewhere, deep in a forgotten corner of space, an old Earth colony received it. They had been silent for 2 centuries. They had survived in shadows, and now, they answered. A small signal. Simple. We're alive, and we never forgot. Back in the Arkenhold base, Lenara watched it come through. Her eyes filled with tears. She turned to her officer. Prepare more ships. He blinked. Ma'am, we already launched everything. Not everything, she whispered. Then she pointed to an old vault. Inside it were blueprints. The Vengeance class. The last Earth SUPERCARRIERS. Never built. Until now. Mars had been silent for 212 years. Once it was the pride of Earth's expansion. Red dust cities, dome towns, mining colonies stretching across the polar caps. But when the Great Collapse happened, Earth lost contact. The Harkons came shortly. After, they didn't need to fight. They simply watched the Martian colonies die one by one. No water, no fuel, no help. The final message from Mars was a whisper. Goodbye, Mother Earth. Then silence. Until now. Inside Earth's hidden command base in Arkenhold, a quiet alarm went off. One officer turned sharply. Ma'am, Mars just spoke. Admiral Lenara Vale leaned forward. Say that again. We picked up a signal. Weak. Analog. Old Martian frequency. It's bouncing off Phobos. She stared at the screen. The signal repeated once every 16 seconds, a single phrase. Mars endures. The room went still. Lenara whispered. Open the channel. They connected. The screen turned to static. Then a red symbol flashed. An old Martian flag, faded and cracked, and behind it, a face appeared. OD. Dust. Covered. Eyes, sharp like steel. My name is Commander Juno Marek of Mars Command. If you're seeing this, then Earth has risen, and we are ready. The signal ended. For a few seconds, no one spoke. Then Lenara smiled. They survived. She turned to her fleet officer. How far is Mars? 6 days at current speed. Admiral, prepare the 3rd fleet. We're going home. Across the solar system, Earth's ships regrouped. In low orbit. Thousands of drones and defense grids continued building the ring. Factories in space now ran at full power. Eyes built without rest. Old bunkers on Earth activated more ship cores. But Lenara wasn't waiting. The humans had just destroyed the Harken force near Jupiter. Now they were going to find out what happened on Mars as 3rd Fleet launched 3,000 ships strong. The world watched. The people of Earth gathered around old screens and new devices. They whispered prayers, shared stories, held hands. Mars. The forgotten. The burned. The abandoned. Now maybe not lost. Meanwhile, the Harken command center prepared its counterstrike. Lord Vex's voice echoed through the war halls. They dare to rise. They dare to kill our fleets. Now they go to Mars. His generals didn't speak. They had seen the Earth fleet. They had seen what the humans could do when angry. Vexor snarled. Send the Iron Banner. That name made the room shift. The Iron Banner wasn't just a fleet, it was their execution squad. Thousands of the galaxy's deadliest ships. AI-control. Faster than light. Merciless. Set course for Mars. Vexor ordered. I want every red rock turned to ash. But Earth had a head start. The 3rd Fleet reached Mars orbit 6 days later. The red planet looked empty. Dead. Old satellites spun aimlessly. Ruined mining rigs stuck out like broken teeth. No cities, no domes, nothing moved. Scans show no life. One pilot said, no heat, no power sources, just rubble. Lenara stood aboard the Remembrance, Earth's flagship. She didn't believe it. Find the signal, she ordered for 2 hours. The fleet searched nothing. Then a whisper came across an old channel. We're beneath the dust. A transmission. Coming from underground. Lenara. Single quotes. Heart jumped. Send landing teams. Shuttles dropped fast through Mars' thin sky. They reached the Ceta ruin crater. There was no door. No hatch. Just a pile of red rocks. Then the rocks moved. A hidden panel opened on from beneath the ground. A light shone. Men and women climbed out, covered in red suits, with old rifles and breathing masks. They had survived. Lenara herself landed and stepped forward. Commander Maverick, she asked. A tall, armored figure removed their helmet. I am your late. Lenara smiled. So are you, Marek nodded. We've kept something for you. They led her deep underground. Old tunnels, rusty walls, flickering lights, and at the end of it a hangar. Massive, filled with ships that should not exist. Black steel, solar armor, guns, bigger than tanks. What are these? Lenara asked. Grinned the art class. Earth sent us the blueprints before the collapse. We couldn't reach you, so we built them alone. 30 in total. Lenara touched one ship's hull. Why didn't you leave Mars? We were waiting for what? For Earth to call us back. Lenara turned. Well, Mars. It's time. But joy didn't last long. One of the Earth ships picked up something. Fast, violent, far away, but approaching. Fleet officer Jules gasped. Admiral incoming. 8,000 Harken ships. Estimated time 4 hours. Everyone turned to the sky. Mars was about to become a battlefield. Lenara looked at Marek. Can your ships fly? He smiled. We never stopped training. She activated her comms. All ships, all systems, prepare for defense. We stand here. The Harkens came fast. 8,000 ships from the Iron Banner, burning through space like fire. But Earth was not afraid. Not now, not with Mars beside them. The sky above Mars turned black. 8,000 Harken warships filled the orbit, moving like a metal storm. No lights, no signals, just silence and shadows. They didn't come to speak. They came to finish what their ancestors started. Third Fleet hovered close to the planet's surface, shields up and weapons locked. Beside them, 30 massive Ark-class ships from Mars powered on. Their cores glowed blue. Their hulls had never seen battle. But their crews were ready. Admiral Lenara Vale stood in the Remembrance's war room. Her face was calm, but her voice was steel. This is not just about Mars. This is about every world they burned, every city we lost, every voice they tried to silence. Commander Merrick of Mars stood beside her. His voice was colder. We were born in red dust. We were buried alive. Now we show them what grew under that dirt. Above them, the Harken ships began to shift. 8 red beacons lit across their fleet, one for each execution squad, each one programmed to kill without mercy. Earth's officers tensed. Here they come, Jules said. The first Harken attack hit the outer orbit. Plasma beams shot across the darkness. 3 human ships exploded instantly. Then silence. Earth didn't respond right away. They let the enemy think they were scared. But Lenara gave the quiet order. Fire back. Full formation, and Earth's answer came like a storm. From orbit. It looked like Mars itself had exploded. Thousands of missiles launched from the Ark-class ships. Ion cannons opened from hidden turrets on the surface. Drone clouds poured from Martian bases and met Harken drones mid-air. The sky burned. The Harken Iron Banner struck hard, but they didn't expect what came next. The Martian fleet moved together. Every turn, every blast, every formation perfect. They had trained underground for 200 years. Waiting, preparing, and now their drills had turned into war. One Martian pilot shouted through comms, Sector 5 clear, target down. Another Arc-17 launching secondary payload brace. Explosions rocked the upper atmosphere. Dozens of Harken ships fell. Their engines cut, their hulls shattered, but they kept coming. The Harkens had the numbers, and one weapon Earth hadn't seen yet. From the rear of the enemy fleet, a giant ship appeared. It wasn't fast. It didn't fire yet, but it made the sky shake. Lenara zoomed in on the screen. What is that? Jules, read its signal. No known class, size over 6 kilometers. Looks like a carrier, but we're detecting biological energy. Marek growled. It's not a ship. It's alive. The Harkens had brought a living weapon. The Earth fleet held its position, but the creature ship opened its back like wings. From inside, thousands of small pods launched fast. Red and screaming. Weren't bombs, they were creatures. Each one a cybernetic horror. Claws, plasma eyes, bone armor mixed with metal. They didn't need ships. They were the attack. Earth's defense grid opened fire. Lasers hit dozens, missiles tore through others, but many still landed on Martian ground, inside human ships, and they began tearing through hulls and steel. One Earth captain yelled, "We've been breached. Deck 12 overrun," another screamed, "We need backup now." Lenara turned to Marek. "How many ARC crews can fight groundside?" "All of them." "Then go." Marek nodded once and disappeared down the hall. Within minutes, hundreds of Martian soldiers dropped from the sky-riding pods into battle. Their armor was thick, red, and brutal. They didn't speak. They hunted. On the surface of Mars, near the old crater city of Vela, humans and monsters clashed. Blades met claws. Guns met fire. Screams filled the air. And still, Earth did not break. One young Martian named Ryo stood atop a destroyed building. His rifle glowed hot from overuse. He watched as one of the cyber beasts tore through a defense line. So he jumped. He tackled the creature midair. They rolled across red dust. It roared. He screamed, and he jammed a plasma grenade into its throat. They exploded together, from orbit. Admiral Lenara saw the ground signal vanish. One blip gone. One hero fallen. She whispered, "We see you. We won't forget." Meanwhile, Earthsay has activated their final defense. Kavan and the others sent a pulse across the network. Ship minds connected. They synchronized. The fleet turned into one organism, no longer separate vessels. Now a single purpose: protect Mars, destroy the Harkons above the battle. The Remembrance charged its final weapon, the silent choir, a weapon not of fire but of sound, a frequency only Harkon minds could hear, a reminder of the screams from Earth's burning cities long ago. They fired it. The Harkon ships paused. Their AI cores staggered. Their coordination broke, and Earth moved. The ARC ships sliced through the gaps. They cut the Harkon fleet in half. The living ship screamed and fell back. But Earth was not done, Commander. Marek led one final charge. He took Arco-1 directly into the creature's mouth. "Remember Mars," he said. Then silence. The Ark exploded inside. The creature burst like a dying sun. Flames rained down. The Harkon fleet trembled, then scattered. They fled. They left thousands of dead behind. And Mars stood bruised, burning but alive. Lenara whispered, "We hold the line." Jules's voice cracked, asked, "What now?" She stared at the stars. "We take the war to them." The war had changed. The Harkons lost to fleets. Mars survived. Earth rose from silence, and the galaxy was watching. Across distant systems, in old space stations and broken colonies, species that once feared the Harkons now whispered something they hadn't dared say for generations. "Earth fights back," they whispered in shadowed markets, among the stars. "They're real. They're strong. They remember everything." Back on Earth, inside the mountain fortress of Arkenhold, Admiral Lenara Vale stood before the full War Council. All walls were lit. Maps floated in the air. Drones flew overhead, scanning damage reports. Texts ran from screen to screen. Outside, Earth's orbital ring grew every day. It now covered 20% of the planet in a shielded arc factories, weapon ports, launch bays. Soon, it would be the largest structure ever built in human space. But Lenara was thinking beyond Earth now. "We've defended long enough," she said. "Calmly now we move." The room fell silent. She looked around. Commanders, scientists, Ayers, survivors from every continent. Some were barely old enough to remember peace. Others had spent their entire lives underground, building, waiting, training for this day. Lena R.A. pointed at the star map. "We hit them back. Not just fleets, not just ships. We go for their center, the Harkon Prime system." There was a long pause. Then Commander Jules spoke quietly. "That system's protected by their war. 10,000 ships, automated defense moons, blackout zones. Nothing gets in." Lenara didn't blink. "Nothing has tried in 200 years. We're not nothing." The council leaned forward. One voice asked, "What makes you think we can win?" She turned. "Because we already did the impossible. We survived." The plan was bold. Earth's entire fleet, now over 16,000 ships, including Mars Ark-class carriers and dozens of rebuilt Earth war cruisers, would form a single spear formation, a tip aimed straight at the heart of the Harkon Empire. They would use old jump tunnels, collapsed lanes only human AI had kept hidden. A surprise attack, deep, hard, final. But it wasn't just ships that Earth sent for the first time. The humans activated. Project Echo. Echo wasn't a weapon. It was a signal. A call to all lost colonies, old allies, and broken species across space. It was a simple message: "We are alive. Join us." And they came. Small at first. One freighter from the Iceworld Varn, a fighter squad from exiled mercenaries, a lost colony ship from Titan 6, long thought destroyed, all waving Earth's old flag, and then dozens more, hundreds. All those who once feared the Harkons now turning toward a planet they once thought was dead. The galaxy didn't believe in Earth's strength before, but now they saw it, they believed. The fleet grew larger. Jot ships were painted black and red. Each one carried a word, a name, or a date. Hellsrich for Ida. December 9th, we remember Cryan. The fleet left orbit 1 week after the Battle of Mars. The stars watched them go. No music, no cheers. Just purpose, just silence. And somewhere deep in Harkon space, Lord Vexor prepared for war. He stood in the throne chamber of the Prime Fortress. It hovered above the burning clouds of Harkonfor, the homeworld. The fortress was massive, larger than Mars, powered by stolen suns, guarded by fleets that had never been used because they had never needed to. No one had ever dared to come close, until now. Vexor's generals stood with heads bowed. They come, one whispered. Let them, Vexor said. We are the storm, they are smoke. But even he felt something strange, a small fear. He remembered the reports, 12,000 ships rising from nowhere. Jupiter burning, Mars surviving, and now a single fleet of vengeance moving straight toward them. The human fleet moved through dark space lanes. They passed old ruins, frozen ships, bones of dead planets, signs of wars long lost. Commander Jules stood at the center of the remembrance beside Lenara. Why do they fear us now? He asked. She looked at the stars outside the glass. Because they forgot we are human. And what does that mean? She turned. We don't stop. On the second day, the fleet encountered a Harkon ambush. 1,000 enemy ships waited in a dead zone, hidden behind an asteroid field. Earth didn't dodge. They went straight through. The AI-led squadrons flew between the rocks. No hesitation, no loss of formation. They struck with perfect timing. Every asteroid became a weapon. They destroyed the ambush. In 11 minutes, no ships lost. On the 5th day, they entered the blackout zone. No signals. No comms. Nothing but deep void and old mines. It was the wall around the Harkon Prime system. A final warning to all who dared enter. Lenara gave the order. Cut engines. The fleet powered down. They drifted. No sound. No fire. Just movement. And in silence, they crossed the border. But the Harkons were waiting. 10,000 ships rose from the gas moons of Harkon 4. They formed a perfect circle. Weapons. Locked shields. Up. This was the strongest fleet in the galaxy. The last line. The unbreakable wall. But Earth was not afraid. Lenara stared at the massive armada in front of her. She spoke to every ship captain in the fleet. Today is not about revenge. Today is not about hate. It's about truth. The truth is, we were never weak. The Earth fleet turned toward the wall. Engines ignited. Weapons powered up. And from every ship, a final signal was sent, not to the enemy, but to the stars. Watch us. Then came the sound Earth had waited 200 years to hear. All ships fire, and the stars lit up. The sky above Harkon Prime was filled with fire. The strongest fleet in the galaxy, 10,000 Harkon ships, formed a circle. A wall no enemy had ever crossed. But this time, it wasn't just any enemy, it was Earth. 16,000 human ships, shaped like black daggers, faced the wall in perfect silence, each one powered by AI memory and rage. Behind them, ships from lost colonies, freighters, fighters, carriers, even broken machines rebuilt for one last fight. Admiral Lenara Vale stood in the command center of the Remembrance. The red lights flashed around her, tactical data filled the air. She didn't blink. This is it, she said. Break the wall, reach the throne. The signal went out. Attack. Earth. Single quotes as fleet moved like a spear. They didn't spread. They aimed at a single point in the circle. Sector 9, known as the Iron Arc. Heavily defended, thick shields, dozens of rotating cannons, but Lenara had chosen it for a reason. The Harkons expected fear. They didn't expect fury. The first wave of Earth ships fired all at once. Thousands of kinetic rods screamed through space. They hit the shield wall, exploding in blue light. The shield held. Cracks formed, but it held. The Harkons returned fire. Plasma bolts, antimatter spikes, gravity torpedoes. 100 Earth ships vanished in seconds. But they didn't stop. They went faster. They closed the gap. The second wave of Earth ships broke formation, faking a retreat. Then circling behind the Harkon flanks, the new engines ran on compressed solar plasma heart, unstable and deadly. A suicide squad lit their cores and rammed the shield. They died instantly, but the shield broke. One line open. And through that line came the Ark-class ships of Mars, massive, glowing, unstoppable. They fired fusion lances that burned holes through Harken carriers. They moved side by side, shielding each other. One was destroyed, the others roared forward. Behind them came Earth's AI squadrons. Silent, deadly, no fear. Caven led them, his voice in every channel. We are not copies. We are memories. We are vengeance. The sky turned black with smoke, explosions everywhere. The Harkons fought back with desperation. They used swarm missiles, cloaked drones, even their last biological ships. But Earth had already seen those tricks. At Mars. They adapted. Every second, human ships changed tactics, changed formations, used the debris of fallen ships as shields. As weapons. They didn't move like a fleet. They moved like a storm. Inside the Harken command fortress, Lord Vexor stood, at the edge of the great glass wall. He watched his fleet lose ground. How? He whispered. A general rushed forward. We are being overwhelmed. They're not following normal patterns. Their ships move like thoughts. They are AI-led. Vexor growled. Destroy their command center. We tried. It's not a single ship. Vexor turned. What? They are all the command center. That was the truth. Earth's fleet wasn't controlled from one place. Every ship was its own brain. And together they were one mind. A mind that remembered every burned colony, every scream. Every loss. And now it wanted justice. On the battlefield, one Earth ship, memory of Saturn, was hit by 3 enemy beams. Its engines failed. It spun toward the enemy line. But before it could be finished, 6 other human ships surrounded it. They took the damage, held the line, then towed it back behind the Ark-class formation. No one was left behind in space. That kind of unity didn't exist until now. Commander Jules watched from the second bridge of the Remembrance. His hand shook, but his voice was steady. They're falling, the wall's breaking. Lenara nodded. Push harder. And Earth did. The final wave came from deep space. A stealth fleet that had left 3 days earlier. They'd looped around Harken Prime, hidden behind asteroid belts. Powered down. Now they came in hot. 5,000 ships. From the back. The Harken fleet turned too late. They were hit from both sides, and for the first time in Harken history they retreated. Lord Vexor watched as his ships scattered. He slammed his fist on the wall. Send the Titan Protocol. Burn them all. The Titan Protocol was the last resort. Planet-killers. Hidden under the surface of the Prime Fortress. 3 rods, each the size of a skyscraper, loaded with compressed neutronium, aimed at Earth's fleet. But Lenara had prepared for that too. She had spies inside the fortress. Years ago, humans had planted Sleeper A's in old Harken systems. One of them woke up. Unit 9Y. Now it activated it, reached into the Titan controls. And shut them down. Then it sent one message to Lenora's ship. They tried. I stopped them. Goodbye. The fortress shook. A distant explosion lit the horizon. The final defense had failed. Lenara looked at the data. Time to finish this. The remaining Ark-class ships turned toward the fortress and fired everything. Fusion blasts, rail spikes, gravity, beams. The sky lit up like a second sun, and the wall broke. The Prime Fortress cracked in half. Its towers fell. Its shields dropped. Vexor stood among fire and rubble for the first time in his long life. He was afraid. A voice echoed from the sky. Veil. No anger. Just truth. Earth remembers. The last missile hit, and the fortress was no more. The battle was over. Earth had won. The wall that had guarded the Harken Empire for centuries was gone. The stars watched as the galaxy's greatest power fell, and humanity, silent for 200 years, was now the loudest voice in the stars. The smoke over Harken Prime had not cleared. The Prime Fortress was gone. The wall was broken. 10,000 Harken warships destroyed or scattered, their last weapons silenced, their leader Lord Vexor presumed dead. But Earth did not cheer. There were no loud celebrations, no songs, no wild cries of victory. Only silence and purpose. Earth's fleet floated over the ruins, watching, not as conquerors, not as monsters, but as survivors. Inside the Remembrance, Admiral Lenara Vale stood still. Her eyes were red, her voice was calm. We did not come to destroy a people, she said. We came to destroy fear. She looked around at her officers. We came to say, no more. Across the stars, millions of species watched the broadcasts. Now, the signal had been opened. The truth shown. Small colonies on the edge of space, refugees on broken moons, slave races in hiding. They saw what Earth had done and they understood. Humanity had waited. They had planned. They had risen from dust and metal and war. And they had broken the strongest empire in the galaxy. But Earth did not take power. They did something else. They sent a message. Simple. We are here, we are free, so are you. In systems once ruled by hark and fear, people began to stand. Shackles were broken, flags were raised, silent radios turned on. The stars were no longer quiet. Earth sent food, medicine, knowledge, engineers. Their ships didn't stay as warships. They became hospitals, schools, builders. But not all Harkons had died. Some fleets had escaped. Some worlds still held their chains tightly. The War Council met one last time in Arkenhold. Admiral Lenara Vale, Commander Jules, the Mars leaders, and Earthsayers all gathered. They discussed the future. Do we chase the rest? Someone asked. Lenara looked tired. Double quotes. No. We defend what we have. If they come again, we'll be ready. What about the other species? They'll want leaders. We won't rule them, Lenara said. We'll guide them. And if they refuse our help, then we leave them free. The eyes spoke next. Caven stood among the officers. No longer just a voice. We will protect the skies, not with weapons, but with knowledge. The war was over, but Earth's mission had just begun. Lenara took one last ship out to the edge of known space. There, floating in blackness, was an old satellite, rusty, broken. It had once sent Earth's last cry for help, before the collapse. She reached out her hand, touched the console, and whispered, "We're back." The satellite turned on. For the first time in 2 centuries, Earth's voice reached all corners of the galaxy. To all who lost hope. To all who thought Earth was gone. To all who believed we were watching, we were building, we were waiting, and now we are here. The message spread. To the ice moons. To the war-torn belts. To the old allies who thought Earth was dead. Every corner of space heard it, and remembered in the years that followed. The stars changed. No more empires. No more silence. No more silence. Earth helped rebuild what war had broken, but they never forgot the past. Every year, on the same date, all ships across the human fleet stopped for 60 seconds. No sound, no movement. Just stillness. To remember Mars. To remember Saturn. To remember the cities that burned, and the people who didn't stop fighting. Children born on new worlds now studied Earth's silence is history. They learned how strength wasn't noise, or power, or weapons. It was the will to stand back up and keep walking, even in the dark, even when no one believed in you, even when the sky itself fell. Because that's what humans did. They didn't conquer, they endured. In the final scene of Earth's greatest war, someone once asked Lenara, "Why didn't you destroy them all?" And she answered, "Because we are not like them." The stars had changed forever, and one truth remained. Humanity was never weak.